Okay, I touched on this earlier in the year, but I want to go into the dangers of this. Facebook has stored hundreds of millions of their users' passwords in plain text for years. This means that 20,000 at least Facebook employees had full access to those passwords in plain text, meaning they could read the password you typed in your password prompt in plain text exactly as you typed it, your exact password. Passwords should never be stored in plain text. They should always be stored as an encrypted hash. I'm going to show a small example here. Okay, I have a shadowed password file, which is the encrypted hash with the username and all the other attributes to the account. So we have Jack Darren here, and here's the encrypted hash right here. This is what it would look like, something like that. Instead, Facebook stored it as plain text, meaning exactly as you type it in, meaning they had password lists, meaning they could add that to password cracking lists and then check it across the emails that registered those accounts and even use it to identify individuals across all their different accounts across the internet. So say you use a very unique password that Facebook had stored in plain text. Then some unscrupulous individual then check that against all the different hashes across the internet, and there are lists out there such as haveibeenpwned.com. That is a way you can check if your password has been compromised. Well, I would consider every password used on Facebook compromised now, because there's no good reason to store those as plain text. As I mentioned, it could be then added to password cracking lists. There's no other real reason except if they want to identify individuals or crack into the other accounts across the internet. So like I said, if you use the same password across multiple different accounts, doesn't matter what type of different account, those can be used to uniquely identify you. A password is almost as unique as your own DNA. Your own mind created that password. It is a piece of you, and it is a very unique one if it's a strong password. So this is a very clever trick if they are trying to cross-check to identify individuals across the internet. People who want to preserve their privacy are in danger. I highly suggest changing your passwords and have a very unique one across each account you have on the internet. So I'm just going to show an example of how this could be used against you. So say I was a Facebook employee, I had access to those hundreds of millions of user passwords. Then I add those hundreds of millions of passwords to a password cracking list. I'm going to use the John the Ripper here. I just want to show you guys how dangerous it is that they store these in plain text. So you'll see how quick it is. It's going to crack the password because, of course, I am someone who had the plain text passwords in access, so I added them to my password cracking list. So as I do this quickly, okay, as you can see, it already cracked Jack Darren. His password was Scooby Lover with a capital L 135. It is as easy as that. If they have the password stored in plain text, they can run it across all types of different accounts. They can also use something like Hydra or another online web cracker. They can then run all those plain text passwords against so many different accounts on the internet that could be linked using data points, using something with open source intelligence like Maltego. You can then therefore check and find accounts that may be related or connected to those Facebook accounts. They can then run those plain text passwords against all of these different accounts. That somebody with even more access, someone higher up, if you get my drift, may be able to identify individuals across the internet just by their unique password. So I wanted to bring this up again just to talk about the importance of password strength and important to mention the uniqueness of each password you use. Never use the same password twice. You do not want to be cracked by doing something so stupid. Considering Facebook stored hundreds of millions of user passwords in plain text, I can't say that enough. This is one of the biggest controversies I've seen about Facebook. They, I believe, are working with people in intelligence to try and basically expose individuals. So anyway, I want to mention using strong passwords, using unique passwords across all your different accounts. As you saw, I was able to quickly crack that password by simply using the stored plain text passwords, which, as I mentioned, should never, ever, 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 ever be done anywhere in security, ever. Even the most basic programmer knows not to store passwords in plain text. That's why I believe there's an ulterior motive here. Facebook may be trying to identify individuals across different accounts across the internet. They may be trying to then maybe even sniff the traffic. Who knows? Maybe read the emails, maybe build more profiles for advertisers. We really don't know. All we know is they did something against every common rule in security, which is storing passwords in plain text. And it could be used to not just uniquely identify you, it can be used to access all your other accounts. So I suggest using a password manager. If you use a password manager, you don't have to remember all your unique passwords. And if you use a password manager, you can make more unique passwords without having to write them down or put them in an area where they may be compromised. So I highly suggest going out and getting a good password manager, one that is open source and one that is trusted. So I wanted to bring this up because Facebook has been known for not respecting the privacy of their users, and now this is just another notch in their belt for invading privacy. So as I mentioned, your password, if shared across multiple accounts, can be used to uniquely identify you like your DNA. Your password is unique to you, and all your different accounts, the ones that share them, are going to be linked together. So something as simple as that, these passwords are likely added somewhere on the internet to a password list. So keep that in mind. Change your password now. Really, I don't suggest people use Facebook if they care about their privacy. But Facebook can be used if you are... I'm going to go into a bit of disinformation coming up. Because disinformation can really be helpful to protect your privacy. Disinformation would be leaking out bits of information that are not about you, but are used to thwart off anyone who is trying to compromise your privacy. So that's all I have here. I hope you understand the importance of unique passwords across all your different accounts now. I showed you the example, cracking the password. As easy as it was only done in a couple seconds, 2 seconds. The password was cracked because I had access to plain text passwords. Okay, so I hope you understand the importance of it. Please like the video, share it, and subscribe, and I'll be back later with more on privacy and surveillance capitalism.